This is terrible, but I can always be more terrible. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Ganata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens. I have a very important thing to share with everyone today. They're coming for it, Jeff. They're trying to shut down one of our favorite pastimes in the world.
Oh, no.
Science is once again trying to get in the way with their lab coats and their centrifuges. And yeah, their centrifuges and their Bunsen beakers.
Oh, no, not the Bunsen beakers.
They are all up in it. They're saying, wear your safety goggles because we're about to tell you that something you love is garbage and you shouldn't be doing it. But I think this time, Jeff, science has gone too far.
Oh, no.
That's what I think.
For? What are they taking from us now?
Jeff, they've come for America's sport. They've come for slap fighting.
No!
That's right,
How
Jeff.
will I spend my Saturdays?
That's right, Jeff. They've come for what everybody loves, professional slap fighting.
The two enormous burly men standing, staring into each other's eyes, waiting for the moment when one will allow the other to slap them into oblivion.
Yes.
That contest of masculinity, that beautiful sport that we all enjoy on a Saturday, sitting around on a holiday with our families, slap fighting?
That's right. Thanksgiving, as you all know, is about two things. It's about getting together with family and eating delicious food, but it's also about sitting down afterwards to watch the slap fights.
I don't know what I'll talk about with my family during the holidays if we can't talk about our fantasy slap fighting teams.
If you remove the ability for me and my father to talk about slap fighting, all that will be left is politics and feelings, and we cannot discuss either one.
No, sir. That's why we slap, so we don't have to talk about
That's
feelings.
Right. And then, what are the kids supposed to look up to now? Like after Thanksgiving dinner, the children, they go outside and they take turns slapping each other as hard as they can to emulate their favorite athletes.
Are you telling me that my 8-year-old son and my 6-year-old daughter are going to have to take down their slap fighting posters?
That's right. No more Frank the Tank posters. They got to take them down.
Oh my gosh. You know how on Halloween we always they ask to go dressed as their favorite slap fighter in their tank top and Adidas shorts, and we all get the red paint and paint the palm outline on the side of their face. You know?
That's right. Now look, if you are foreign or some sort of, I don't know, Philistine, Luddite, hater of art and sport, perhaps you are not aware of slap fighting and the popularity of slap fighting. But for the last few years, there has been an official slap fighting league, and it is honestly destroying on YouTube. It is honestly just killing it on YouTube. And the way these slap fights work is exactly the way they worked when I was in junior high.
Yeah.
Two people stand in front of each other and they take turns slapping each other in the face as hard as they can until one of them gives up or is knocked out or cannot slap anymore.
Cannot slap. Slap until you cannot slap.
That's right. When I was in junior high, the way it was actually played, Jeff, was not slapping each other in the face, but one person would hold their hands out with the palms down.
Yeah.
The other person would put their hands underneath with palms up.
Right.
And you would try to flip and slap.
Slap hands.
The person on the lower end would try to slap the person on the top end. And when they did, you would switch positions.
Yeah.
And you would do this.
If you pulled your hands away when I didn't actually even try to slap you, you've lost.
Yeah, you would, if you pull your hand away and you didn't get slapped, you then become the slapper. If the person is able to slap you, they're able to keep slapping you until you disappear. And also, you cannot flinch until you disappear.
Did that ever happen when
yes.
one of your classmates disappeared?
Yes. And then they got to be the slapper, the invisible slapper. That's the way we used to play it. This sounds like a ridiculous, stupid thing that people would do as adults, but no, it is a popular sport.
If you've never seen it, it is truly astounding the force that one human being allows another human being to apply to their face. The just pure, unadulterated force that one human being invites the other. Oh, you're going to show it. You're going to show it. Oh, he's going to do it. Oh, my Lord.
Hat went flying off.
His face that is a concussion. And then he just nods like, yeah, you gave it to me real good.
So I just showed a clip of Big Mike slapping 19-year-old Darius the Destroyer. Big Mike looks like the dude from Game of Thrones who was like the strongman champion of the world.
Yeah. The Hound.
Yeah. And he just rears back. And honestly, the part of it that is wild to me is the sizing up. They do like people do with a golf ball.
Yeah.
Where
like a little practice swing.
They do like a little practice swing, and they do it where they go like right up to almost kissing the person's cheek with their hand. They do it a couple times to really just. It has to be purely psychological because you're not going to miss the person's face from where you're standing. You're standing right. You know what I mean? You're going to hit them. It has to be a psychological, like psych out thing against the other person. I don't know what purpose it serves.
I mean, these are professionals, Anthony. I think that they, for you, a mere amateur slapper,
fair,
who's only slapped hands and not faces, to somehow impugn their process that they've honed of years of working up through the amateur circuit into the professional ranks. I don't understand why you have any right to call into question their process.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So you might
people get knocked out. I've seen videos where people get stone cold knocked unconscious.
Here's what I love, Jeff. You had heard of this before.
I had, yeah. Because I am on social media.
But I had not seen it. I had not seen it before until today's story, which I will get to, I promise. But I was not aware that there was a professional slap fighting league. Yeah. There's a story here that I have pulled up from last year, March of 2023, that says, so basically, here's the way slap fighting works. Slap fights last 3 to 5 rounds. Mm-hmm. A striker has 60 seconds to recover from a hit, and they earn points.
Strikee, I would guess. The strikee, the person who gets struck.
Yeah.
Right.
And they earn they earn points based on how hard the slap lands. Okay.
How do you measure that?
And then the strikee, I guess, gets points based on how they recover from the slap.
That's why, what's his name? Darius the Destroyer was nodding like, yeah.
That's right.
That's exactly what I expected.
Yeah,
exactly how I thought this all was going to go down.
So, a surprising strategy. You slapped me. I'll have to rethink everything. The winners of these competitions can get anywhere from $2,000 to $10,000 per match.
Yeah, sure.
So they're in it for real money.
Yeah.
So much so that the league promoter of the Power Slap League, which is now televised on
Sure.
TBS.
Yeah.
is now running power slap matches on television. Their lead promoter is now UFC president Dana White.
Of course it is. Sure. He's going to have his finger in the pot.
Yeah. Head of the UFC and guy with no controversies under his belt.
No.
Whatsoever.
Just a real straight shooter.
Known as a good salt of the earth dude.
Yeah.
It's growing huge. TBS says that they have 275,000 live viewers for episodes of Power Slap, which is small for internet, but big for TV, particularly cable TV.
You gotta watch it live, right? Because you don't want to have all the slap results spoiled for you.
No, social media is going to ruin it. Not just that, but like, can I tell you what I do? I got satellite TV, and I actually, it's not illegal, but I get the pay-per-views for free.
Oh, really?
I watch
the paper slaps.
The paper slaps. Now, the way this worked, the brutal nature of the sport prompted the Nevada Athletic Commission last month to institute stricter rules for slap fighting.
Oh, okay. How do you get stricter?
Competitors must use open-handed blows, which I think should have been a rule from the beginning.
That's the definition of slapping.
Yeah, if it's closed-handed in any way, that's a punch.
No. That makes no sense at all. There's no slap league where you can have a closed fist.
What? Maybe it's like, maybe they were doing rounded, like, because if you do the rounded one over the ear and you get that like
cup in your face.
You get that like hand in your ear.
Oh, you burst an eardrum.
Yeah, those are really rough. So maybe that's it.
Oh my Lord.
They also say that they cannot strike an opponent below the chin.
Like in your Adam's apple? What do you mean below your chin?
I guess the top of the chin is considered the lowest place, right? Because they want you to get on the cheek and not like, they don't want you to hit somebody in the lower jaw to the point
break
where
their
like
jaw.
Yeah.
I would think going higher would be worse, like hitting your temple or up near your eye. That would be awful too.
I would be extremely worried about my eye.
That is different about this sport than any other sort of violent competitive sport that I'm aware of.
The strategy?
Well, sure. The intricacies of the tactics and the years and years of history that come into play.
The deep love of the game.
Yeah, all that. But putting those aside, the biggest difference for me, from my perspective, is in every other violent competitive tete-a-tete, your goal, boxing, taekwondo, any of the martial arts, any of it, judo, any of it, wrestling, your goal is to prevent the other person from inflicting punishment on you.
Yes.
Your goal is to avoid, to block, to parry, to step under, to
because they're coward sports for cowards.
You've understood my point.
Yeah.
No, but this is the only sport, quote unquote, that I'm aware of where the entire goal is I'm going to stand here and let you take your best shot.
Yes.
And see if I can withstand it.
Correct. That's right. Because it's a real sport for real athletes.
Yeah.
It's not this is not one of I'm a baby. I play football and we have so many brain contusions. Football.
We're both going to try to hit each other at the same time. No. We're going to take turns like real men.
Yeah. I don't want you to hit me. Of course I don't want you to hit me. No one wants to be hit. Now hit me. No one wants to be hit. That's why I do it.
That's right. That's why I stand here and let you measure the distance 3 or 4 times before you wallop me in the face.
That's right. Well, Jeff, people want to destroy what I like to call the sweet science.
All right. So now I want to know how science has swooped in to tell me that somehow this beautiful, beautiful game.
Just the normal stupid garbage that they have to say about safety. Just dumb baby shit from babies.
Are they worried that people's hands are going to get hurt?
Yeah, that's what they're worried. They're worried about people's fingies. They're delicate fingies. No, a leading journal, JAMA Surgery, JAMA, just put a warning letter into their latest issue about their findings on slap fighting. They say that basically you are going to break your brain. You are going to destroy your head and brain and thoughts and mind.
Well,
now,
the joke's on them because in order to participate, you already have to have a broken brain.
Yeah.
So there.
I don't know, man. If I thought I could win $10,000
by getting slapped,
I might get slapped for $10,000.
There's no universe where I do this. No, there's no amount of money.
Jeff,
I'm sorry.
I'm standing in front of you with $10,000 in cash, and I put it down on the table, and I say, Jeff Cannata, it's me. Hi, Anthony Carboni, athlete. What I want right now is to slap you once as hard as I can, and then you may take this $10,000 and walk away. You can get over 12 crumble cookies for that.
That is now you're not playing fair. But here's the problem, Anthony. It's not you. It's the guy who looks like he's from Game of Thrones. You know, with the arms, his arm is the size of you.
Same.
It's a little different.
Same.
It's a little bit different.
Same. You take one shot, dude. Honestly, how much money would it take for you to let somebody one shot you like that?
This is a variation on the old game we used to play when I was kids, and I'm sure you did too, around the playground of how much would it cost for you to get in the ring with Mike Tyson, right?
Yeah.
Here's the difference. Getting in the ring with Mike Tyson, I am running around as much as possible to avoid it.
It doesn't matter. Buddy, same outcome.
Standing and waiting and just sticking your chin out and waiting as the man measures.
If you put me in the ring with Mike Tyson, I would do, that's what I would do. I would stand there and I would wait. If you put me in the ring with
punch you,
it's going to happen, dude. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how fancy I think my footwork is. It doesn't matter. I could spend months training beforehand. I could be like, I think I could throw a punch now. No, you go in there, you look Mike Tyson in the eye, you say, I'm cashing in, and you get hit in the face.
And you wake up and you can't pronounce Tokyo anymore. You knew that. Don't work.
You knew that going in. That's the thing, is in this hypothetical situation, am I so stupid I didn't know that going in?
Yeah.
Am I so dumb that I think that it's like people who are like, when you ask dudes, hey, do you think you could fight a bear? And they go, what kind of bear? Like it fucking matters.
A Care Bear. I could do a Care Bear.
Like it fucking matters. They're like, oh, is it a brown bear? Is it a Kodiak bear? It doesn't matter. You're dead, my dude.
Yeah, you're dead.
You're a dead human being.
Would you let a bear slap you for $10,000?
Bear only gets one slap? Somebody's there to make sure that the bear can only have one slap?
Open-handed. Open paw.
Open paw. Above the chin. Bear slaps me once, I get $10,000. I would probably let anybody hit me once for $10,000.
Really?
Yeah, because listen, dude, even if you knock me out, it's like, I've never really had a concussion before. You can have one.
Can you?
Yeah, you're not like after more than one is where it starts to get dangerous. But like you could have one and walk away.
Everybody gets one.
Everybody gets one. Listen.
It's like dad jokes.
Yeah, listen.
That's your one concussion.
Shout out to those who know. Look. The danger compounds, right? That's what Rocky V was about. Didn't you see Rocky V or Rocky IV?
Of course I saw Rocky V.
It compounds. One concussion is like, well, you got one concussion. Don't do it again. Don't do it again.
You don't want $10,000 more dollars.
Yeah, but I don't. That's the thing. I don't. $10,000 once, I'm fine. Look.
But I feel like the science that you're just about to bring up is telling you this is a bad idea.
Oh, science again. Oh, Oh, it was science. Oh, it was science.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being patrons. And thank you for supporting this award-winning science podcast, the only science podcast where we say things like,
listen, we're the only science podcast that is not afraid to go, fuck you, science.
Slap me if you're so big.
Yeah,
science.
if you're so big, science, give me $10,000 and slap me as hard as you can. Okay. So here's what they're saying. The lead of this article is so good. They say, hey, while slap fighting might be entertaining to watch, as medical professionals, we found some aspects of the competitions to be quite concerning.
I love it. I love it when Nerdlinger walks into the slap fighting arena. It's like, hey, what is your observations? Well, I do have to point out that some aspects of it are quite concerning.
Boop,
Yeah,
boop, boop.
that's why we're watching, Nerdlinger.
Yeah, get out of here.
That's what we signed up for.
Dumb.
If it wasn't concerning, we wouldn't care.
Yeah, so basically what they're talking about is like, hey, this is going like a concussion is going to happen pretty much to everybody who participates in this sport.
It's a concussion machine.
Yeah, it really is.
Just watching a concussion happen in real time.
That's really what it is. They talk about, we've talked about things like in the NFL, there's been a huge thing over the last 20 years that nobody cares about. Once a year, everybody gives lip service to, oh my gosh, we have to do something because these NFL players, every time they get hit that hard and they go down, they basically are getting like mini concussions.
Yeah, CTE. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And these things like pile up over time. It's chronic traumatic encephalopathy, like you're saying, and it gets worse over time. That's why I'm saying everybody can have one. It gets worse over time and can lead to things like dementia, right? Sure. But even in the NFL and the NHL, in baseball, there are concussion protocols and guidelines, right? We may not think that they're enough because they're not enough. That may be the only reason we think that is because it's true, but they're at least there, right?
Yeah. If you watch a modern football game and somebody takes a real vicious hit, they pull them out of the game. They take them to this tent where you can't see what they're doing, and they go into concussion protocol, testing them to see if they need to be yanked out. Now, in the slap fighting, that's just called round 2.
That's round 2, baby. And that's why slap fighting is America's sport. That's where the blood is, baby. That's where the blood is.
You've just taken a concussion. Can you take another one is what slap fighting asks.
So one of the biggest things is that anyone who has an injury affecting head, face, or neck in particular, but even like a bodily injury, somebody could hit you in the shoulder, you know what I mean? And you just kind of jerk in the right way. And like, listen, the spine and everything, it's all connected. Like you can get an injury that way. And what they are saying is in the past, it was thought that you didn't really have a concussion unless you had a loss of consciousness. But what we know now is that 90% of concussions occur in the absence of loss of consciousness. Mm-hmm. And when you talk to these,
you just get little birdies circling your head.
That's right. Or stars, depending.
Yeah.
And that's how they can tell how intense the concussion is.
Sometimes your bill will be on just twisted all the way around to the side.
That's right. And you'll think that it's rabbit season when it's duck season.
That's right.
That's one of the things they'll do is they'll ask you,
what is it, rabbit season or duck season?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then
what they do inside that little tent.
That's right. And then they'll confuse you because they'll be like rabbit season and you'll be like duck season. And then they'll be like duck season and you'll be like rabbit season. They'll be like, that's a brain injury.
Concussion.
That's a brain injury for sure.
That's right. And the worst part is the whole time they're doing that, they're dressed up like a beautiful lady.
That's right. It wasn't your wife. Your beautiful wife of 50 years then takes off her wig and it was a rabbit the whole time.
The whole time. It's just not fair.
Just as an aside, I always wanted to do like a short film where it's Elmer Fudd on his deathbed and and he's dying, and his wife of like 50 years, like literally takes off a wig and it's bugs. And then his children take off wigs and they're all rabbits. And he has to die knowing that his whole life was a lie.
That's really funny.
Maybe I've taken a couple slaps to the face. So people were talking about like, hey, they looked at 78 fights between 56 contestants, because let me tell you something. There ain't a lot of people in the power slap league.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
Wow. Yeah.
Do you know why? Because we don't raise real athletes anymore in America. Now we raise soft little woke babies that don't want to get slapped in the face by people 3 times their size for money because they're afraid of honest work.
I love the fact that slap fighting, which, you know, usually is a way, a euphemism for like a
childish, cartoony, like,
a ridiculous non-fight now has been transposed to being the most intense form of uber masculinity.
That's right. USA. 78 fights between 56 contestants involving 333 slaps. They
That's
watched
a pretty good slap average.
Dude, these people are tough. They're real athletes. They don't go down, except that they do go down. And what they noticed
frequently go down.
They frequently go down. What they noticed by reviewing these is half the participants showed visible signs of concussion just on video. These doctors didn't need to like review anything. They looked at it. They were like, that's concussion.
They didn't even buy a ticket. They didn't even buy a single ticket.
Dude, they bought a ticket. They bought a seat, but they only needed the edge.
That's right.
That's right. Many of them had signs of impaired movement following a hit or had a blank or vacant stare.
Sure.
And then
that's called winning.
Yeah. Get over it, losers. And then some were knocked down and had trouble getting back up. And you can see this on some of the videos that we've watched. If you haven't watched any of these videos, patreon.com/wehaveconcerns, you coward. But you can see that people get hit and they like, sometimes they reel a little bit, or sometimes like it takes them a moment to like collect themselves because they are getting hit as hard as the other person can hit them.
That's the thing that is so crazy about this. That's the goal.
Yeah.
That's the stated goal. Stagger your opponent.
Yes. In 2021, Polish slap fighter Artur Walczak had a brain bleed during a match in which he was knocked out and lost consciousness. And despite hospital treatment, he died of multiple organ failure a few weeks later.
Oh, geez.
So this is extremely slapped to death, dude.
Yeah.
During an exhibition of contestants for the now canceled Power Slap on TBS, TBS was like,
oh no.
Yeah, TBS was like, ooh, this seems like a legal quagmire. If we had to guess. Courtney Olson.
What's our liability?
It sounds like a lot. Sounds like a liability. Whoopsie. And then they moonwalked out the door.
They're like, aren't there some little people we can exploit in a television show somewhere?
Yeah, there must be something we can do to embarrass somebody else for simply existing. Courtney Olson and competitor Sheena Bathory were fighting on Power Slap, and Olson was struck by Bathory and literally falls, and her eyes like just roll back as she falls.
Jesus.
And Olson said that she had memory lapses during the match and months afterwards. She says, after I regained consciousness, I stood back up to get to the table and reset, but I lost consciousness again and wound up doing a forward roll. I do not have any recollection of the forward roll. She also, after she did the forward roll, popped right back up onto her feet.
She got extra points.
She was like, ta-da!
It inspired an entire generation of slap fighters to attempt some sort of gymnastic.
Well, they've now added it to the judging.
That's right. Yeah.
There's an extra panache rating.
The old slap and roll.
Now, the thing that's like really, really rough here is because number one, slap fight don't give a fuck.
Sure. Again, stated goal.
Stated goal. Slap fight is just like, hey, do you want to keep going? Sometimes you'll see, like in the first video we watched, somebody staggers, two people kind of like push him back up onto his feet. And he's like, yeah, I'm good. Hit me again. Because they do that, they actually encourage the competitors to like come back next week.
Sure.
Keep fighting. And the problem is the worst thing that you can possibly do is return to a contact sport before the brain has completely recovered.
Get a second concussion or third or fifth or 20th.
And you get it much easier.
Yeah.
Much easier.
You know, I hate to be callous and judgmental, but there's a certain Darwinian aspect to this whole thing, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
because listen, I appreciate the scientists coming in and sort of quantifying this and putting it in terms that are very, but this isn't a revelation, right? Any casual observer to this is going unwise, right?
Yeah. But I think any casual observer of any full contact sport or any of these sort of like even stupid game shows where people are like running into walls or falling off, you know what I mean? All of these things, we all look at it and we go, what a stupid thing to do. And that's sort of part of the entertainment of it. And I think the average person doesn't think about the difference in danger between the multiple different activities, right?
Right. Yeah.
Somebody's doing something like an American Ninja Warrior or something and like hits a wall and like falls into water and you're like, ooh, that looked rough. And like, it is rough, but it's rough on a completely different level of a 380-pound man reeling back his meat paws and slapping you with the hams as hard as he can.
Oh God.
The doctors who wrote this study, by the way, are actually like people with backgrounds in martial arts and combat and contact sports.
Yeah.
And they said like, look, you know, as somebody like who's into this stuff, I can tell you that I am super concerned regarding the frequency of overt signs of concussions amongst these people. And I'm somebody who does mixed martial arts.
Yeah.
This is a doctor, a researcher who is also a fighter. This is a tough scientist, the coolest type of person.
Tough scientist is our spirit animal on the show. This is the We Have Concerns mascot.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? To a tough scientist? That's the best sort of person.
Yeah.
A tough scientist is saying, I would get into the octagon and have an entire mixed martial arts fight before I would participate in one slap fight.
Well, of course, because again, you're attempting to not let them hit you in any other context.
Yeah, but we're talking about all kinds of things happen in mixed martial arts, like submission holds and like sleeper holds and like.
The whole point of a submission hold is once I tell you to stop, you stop.
Yeah, but like
submit.
Yeah, but sometimes people don't submit and they just kind of go.
That's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. But there's no concussion in that. You're just losing.
No, that's just a nap
to the brain. Yeah. It's just a little nighty night.
Let's a little night. Listen, when I was a babysitter, I used to do that all the time.
That's right.
That's just a cool trick that I have. Yeah, a lot of people know that I have a background in I used to take care of kids and I was a preschool teacher. And like, if they won't go down for nap time, just a little like, shh,
put them down.
Little CQC.
Little CQC.
Just a little CQC is what you do to the kid.
Give them the American dream, we call it.
That's right. They were saying that, he says that clinically concussion can show up in different ways, but each can result in short or long-term disability and socioeconomic distress, right? Like that's something that people don't think about. You get hurt, you get injured, you're sidelined because of a concussion. I had a friend who got a concussion, like literally somebody who works in production, a piece of the set fell on their head.
Oh my God.
Right? Like a light fell on their head and they got a concussion and they weren't thinking straight for a year. Like did you have to
close down the room and not let anyone leave until the private investigator
Well,
figured out
I had to
who
escape through the secret trap door that I put in. Remove my half-face mask and my cloak, and then come back up.
Smart.
From another part of the stage and be like, "Oh my gosh, what happened?"
Whilst singing all the time.
Yeah, that's right. And I was like, "My goodness, who would do such a thing? Nobody wants the production to go on as much as I." Is what I said.
Yeah.
Look, this is wild. 40% of the sequences resulted in any signs of poor motor coordination.
God.
A third of the sequences resulted in participants having a blank and vacant look. A quarter of the sequences featured participants who were slow to get up after being brought down by a blow, which is like the worst sign. If somebody clocks you and you can't get back up, that's your brain is telling you,
stay down.
Stay down. 80% of the fighters demonstrated a visible sign of concussion at least once in the series of matches. 80%.
Again, this is the goal. I don't understand what. I mean, it's terrifying.
The goal is entertainment, baby.
I was just watching that new multi-part Vince McMahon documentary on Netflix.
Yeah, fuck Vince McMahon. Isn't that just the title? Isn't it just called Fuck Vince McMahon?
Basically. I mean, he's a massive jerkwad. It's fascinating watching though. But there's one part where they go into this moment in the. I want to say either late 80s, early 90s, somewhere along those lines before, everybody kind of broke kayfabe and we're like, yeah, it's wrestling. It's just entertainment.
Yeah.
But when John Stossel from 2020 or 60 Minutes or one of those was like interviewing wrestlers and just asking them if it was fake.
Yeah.
And one of the wrestlers smacked him, open-handed slap to the face and was like, is that fake? And John Stossel literally was never the same.
Yeah.
Like it ruined his life. He got hit open-handed on the side of the face in a slap so hard by this wrestler that he had medical problems for the rest of his life.
So I know a couple of people who are wrestlers, and I spoke to them and I asked them, I didn't go up to them and be like, is wrestling fake? My question was, how much can you plan beforehand and what do you do to mitigate injury?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're live there in the ring, what are you doing to make sure the other person doesn't get hurt? Because storylines are fake, winners are predicted, but here's the thing. The Harlem Globetrotters always beat the Generals, right? But that doesn't mean they're not taking shots from the 3-point line. That doesn't mean they're not doing like crazy dunks. And talking to Austin, to Xavier Woods about it, he was telling me, he was like, look, he's like, we don't get to rehearse. He's like, we don't have time. We're always traveling. Yeah, we're always traveling. It's physical and verbal and intellectual improv. He's like, so, when you watch a fight and you know what you're looking for, you can see us signaling to one another.
Right. Yeah.
You can see us pointing or like tapping twice to mean something or like, we decide on the fly what's going to be the most interesting for the audience. And then unless you're Hulk Hogan, the winner is picked in advance. If you're Hulk Hogan, you just win whenever you want and get everybody mad at you and you don't let anybody unionize. But the point is, if somebody decides that the coolest thing to do in the moment is to suplex somebody or to, slam somebody down as hard as they can, that person is getting slammed down as hard as they can.
Yeah. Onto plywood. It's not a trampoline.
Yeah. And even that is safer than this because they're looking out for each other, right?
Most of the time. There's a lot of really wonderful content on YouTube now, if you're interested in it, specifically around The Undertaker, who has retired. And
the fucking goat. The fucking goat. The Undertaker and Mick Foley are like the two greatest people in the history of wrestling.
my faves too. Yeah. And that Hell in the Cell that they did is my favorite match of all time. But there's a lot of really wonderful sort of shoot interviews with him where he's talking about like specific moments where a guy, what they call working stiff, which means kind of really hitting you instead of fake hitting you and you know, doing what you're supposed to do, which is take care of each other. And like stories about the retaliation that they would do to like put a person in their place of like, don't be a jerk. Don't like actually hurt people. It's dangerous what you're doing in the ring. And really wonderful stories about that stuff. Well, it is a fraternity of men and women now that you know, try to take care of each other and are trying to put on entertainment that is physical, but they're not trying to hurt each other.
And even when you like, you know, with the few exceptions that are people like Mike Tyson, or you know, some of the people that are like the more like, let's just say it, unhinged, even in professional fighting communities, even in things like MMA, even in things like boxing, there is this thing of like, you will like 9 times out of 10,
they'll hug each other after.
Yeah. And they'll kiss on the mouth and they'll kiss on the lips. And sometimes they'll use tongue, but also 9 times out of 10, before you see a ref pull 2 boxers or 2 fighters apart, one of them is like already moving back.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're just like, whoops, too far. I just realized that I went too far. So there is this thing of like, hey, I could tell that when I was fighting this person, I could tell that this person was done. Yeah. And like sometimes even in between rounds, they'll be like, hey, you'll see them send somebody from one person's corner to another to be like, hey, your guy's done. Like, should we call this? Do you really want to continue? Like there is even that, you know, there's a professionalism to it. Whereas like these slap fighters are just, I think something that occurs to me as we talk about it is this idea of the shortcut. What's the easiest way? I want to be like, I want to compete physically. I'm a big guy. I know that I can cause some trouble. What can I do? I'm not a trained fighter, right? I'm not a trained, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a trained boxer or whatever. Right. This is, not only that, but as this sport got popular, this is one of the most popular things on YouTube. So not only are you taking the easiest path to being a professional tough guy, you're taking the easiest path to being a professional tough guy that's also kind of famous in circles. You know what I mean? And people are always looking for that. And I wonder if there isn't like a thing. And I'm not saying there, it's necessarily predatory. Like that one guy that we showed that got really hit was 19 years old, right? Yeah. This is a kid, a new adult who was like, hey, this is tough and kind of cool. Maybe it's something I could make a career out of. And then he got hit once and you saw him just kind of nod twice and then sort of like reel back.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing that occurs to me is this notion of, why do we in our dumb lizard brains there's this competitive thing that says, I can do it. I bet I could do that. Mm-hmm. And I could, you know what? I'll give you your best shot. Because I think that as much as the slapper is impressive, I think the real draw is I can take your best shot and stand here.
Yes. And that's what you're watching for. You're watching for how the person takes it.
That's right. I think that's the real draw is not like, oh, I'm a big bad person. I could slap you till you're dead. It's more, I can take the biggest, baddest dude. I can take an open shot and still stand here. And that's the crazy lizard brain thing that I kind of don't understand is the impulse to engage in that.
I think so. Going back to the idea of I'm not trained, I'm not whatever. I don't think anybody that's ever really I think most people that have ever really been in a fight and gotten hit really hard would want to be part of the slap fighting community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I've always, my friend and I have this thing that we always say to each other. We're like, where somebody behaves in a certain way and we just look at it and we be like, that person's never been hit in their life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people talk a certain way or they act a certain way in public. And I'm like, that person's never been smacked.
Yeah.
Right. One smack would fix that person. And I think there is something like that idea of Could you fight a bear? Yes. It's this academic thing of, I think I'm pretty tough.
Yeah.
I think I can understand it. It's a Dunning-Kruger almost, right?
Yeah.
Where, and not Dunning-Kruger in the insulting internet way that we use it, but a Dunning-Kruger in the legitimate way of, I have no idea how bad this is.
But I think I know.
I think I know. I'm imagining it in my head, and it's like, well, a guy's going to slap me. What's it going to do?
Right.
It's just getting hit is getting hit, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
The delivery mechanism is very little to do. It's just getting hit is getting hit.
Yeah. It's a slight variation on a very, very intense moment.
Yeah. The form of the fist certainly does something, but it doesn't do all of it.
Right. Yeah. So what's the end result here? Is this going to be shut down? Or
No,
of course not.
This was okay. So this was just published, right? This is a fairly new report. I believe it was published. It was published in the middle to end of September. The Slap Fight Championship channel on YouTube, Power Slap, all of these things are still up. They're not taking them down. They're not stopping. I do think that this is something that will cause some backlash, right? But who knows? Like, there have been calls about things like this in every sport, and this does not seem like a particularly professionally run sport that's run by experts who care.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Because again, it's sort of self-evident that this is not healthy.
Yeah,
you're not taking care of your athletes here.
You look at the way it's presented to this very day.
Yeah.
We're looking at some of these videos we're looking at are like championships or whatever, right? And it's just two guys in a bar standing at a table with one dude in between them who's kind of like, all right, now come out slapping, I guess. I don't know.
Come out slapping. Measure it up real good.
Yeah. So it's not like this was it's literally just like, it probably started in a bar where somebody took video and put it on TikTok.
Of course it did.
And it was like,
yeah.
This is not a professionally run thing. It's not something that requires a lot of overhead or organization.
Yeah. Yeah.
So will they do anything? I don't
want to go overhead. You don't want to go under chin. It's got to be right in the sweet spot.
Right in the sweet spot, baby. Yeah. So anyway, how much money would it take to let somebody slap you as hard as they can once? Be real.
I don't.
Because I'd definitely do it for 10.
I don't think. I mean, I think I'm going to have to get to 6 figures at the minimum.
Wow, 6 figures.
I don't think you're going to give me $50,000 to get a concussion. I don't. It just feels really dangerous. It feels really and like all my eye problems that I've had, and like
Oh yeah, your eyes would come flying out of your skull. Are you kidding me?
I would be dangling a pupil.
You'd be like a spooky, scary skeleton.
That's right. My head would spin all the way around. I'd be like, addy, 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 addy. I'd be like Jim Carrey in The Mask.
No, I think I could take it. 10,000 once. I wouldn't do it more than once. I mean, unless the first one went pretty well. If the first one went pretty well and then another 10K was put on the table, I'd have to think about it.
You're telling me the guys in these videos, these enormous 350-pound bruisers, you're going to let that guy smack the hell out of your face?
Well, because I'm not talking about participating in a full slap fight event. I'm not thinking that I'm going to take it
2 out of 3. You're just saying one time, one go.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can recover.
Go ahead, Hodor. Let's see what you got. I think
the mountain.
Yeah, I would take it once. I would just close my eyes and be like, all right, here we go. Remember, you have to hit flat-handed in the specific spot.
I don't think so. I don't think I would.
$10,000.
Do you think, here's the thing. Yeah, I would have to close. I think the other challenge of this that we haven't even talked about is not flinching.
They don't.
I know. That's crazy to me because I don't know if I could just stick my chin out and not flinch.
That's a physical response.
Right. If you flinch, though, it gets way worse. You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
if they get you with like in a kind of a glancing way or on, you flinch weird and then they hit your eye or your front of your face or something. Oh, dude, that's way worse.
That's why, you know what I think I would do to get around, because you don't want to flinch also because you look weak, and that's points off.
Yeah, well, of course.
That's the biggest
points.
That's the biggest problem.
It doesn't matter how many rolls you do at the end. You're already down so many style points.
That's right. So what I would do is just close my eyes and pucker up. Do you know what I mean? Going back to the Bugs Bunny of it all.
You can't dress like a complete lady rabbit in here, sir.
Sorry, this is what I did. I'm coming in dressed like a lady rabbit, and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to pucker up. And if that throws you off your game, sorry, I get $10,000 no matter what. That's where I'm at.
Old Bugs McSlappy.
Bugs McSlappy is a good name. The more I think about this, the more I think I want to do it.
Is this your announcement that you're coming out of retirement into the Slap League? Power
That's
Slap.
Right. That's right.
Has signed a contract with renowned podcaster, Star Wars host.
That's right.
Anthony Carboni.
I'm coming out of retirement as a soft, dainty French Duke, and I'm now a tough slapman.
Yeah.
I'm Bugs McSlappy, and I'm going in.
Reinventing yourself as Bugs McSlappy.
That's right. I want to know if the concerned citizens would take a slap. That's what I want to know.
How much? What's your number? What's your slap number?
What's your slap number? It's like a sleep number, but it's like after you get dental work done and you try to say it.
I mean, it is a sleep number in a sense.
In a sense.
Right?
In a medical sense, it's very different from sleep. But if you were to look at it, you would think maybe that person was sleeping. Right. So you can let us know. A great place to do that would be on the Discord if you've got access there. But if they don't have access, how do they even get it? What is even that about?
Well, it's very simple. All you got to do is head over to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Support the show. Make sure we get to keep talking about wacky stories like this. Only $1 a month gets you access to the Discord where you can hang out, talk about slapping, talk about all the other cool science stories.
It's mostly
maybe even
about
a little
slapping.
more science than this story had.
Maybe.
We have a varying level of science in this.
It's all podcast. About slapping for sure.
It's true. It's true. There's a lot of slapping.
That's right.
Anthony, if they have more than $1 a month to share with us, if their finances can allow the support at an even higher level, do they even get cooler stuff?
No, you better believe it. We will come to your house and slap you.
That's right.
That's a new level that we've just added to the Patreon.
It's $10,000.
That's right. You give us money to slap you. We've figured out the real grift of it. No, as you give more money, you get bonus episodes, you get bonus audio, video, you get, at this point, 7 years of backlog audio that's available only to patrons, as well as videos, Q&A sessions, and more. And that's at patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. I would pucker right up and I would say, come on, Darius the Destroyer.
Back season.